Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with a slightly wilted salad, and I'd like to thank everyone for your well wishes last video. Friday was as terrible at work as anticipated, and Monday's probably not going to be so good either. I'm recording this on Sunday, but, you know, we'll get through one way or the other. And I had forgotten entirely that there's someone else we can meet in Majula at this point. So that's where we're gonna go. We can't really do anything with him at this point, but, you know, meet new friends, always a good thing. So to find the guy we're going to be meeting just now, you just head back toward the direction of things betwixt, but you take this corridor on the right. By the way, commentary this episode is going to be post, as opposed to the live commentary I've usually been doing for my Souls stuff. Reason being, I actually did record live commentary for this one, but I fucked up and the audio ended up unusable, so apologies for that. Anyway, here's a dude with a pretty interesting looking sword.
Have you business with me? The way under's all blocked up, you see, by this god-awful statue. Heavens above! Who thought it a good idea to put it there? Oof, I'm in quite the pickle now.
Well, apparently we've met ourselves a fantasy Scotsman.
See that statue? Gives me the willies. You stare at it for long enough, it starts to look alive. It just doesn't seem quite right. There are no craftsmen round these parts. Hey, you don't think a real-life person was turned to stone, do you?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time we've encountered that. There was that fella back in Things Betwixt, after all, who was a statue blocking our path and used to be a hollow.
See that statue? Hey.
Alright. Seems like that's all we're gonna get out of Groundskeeper Willie for the time being, so we'll proceed on our way. As he suggests, we're going to be roadblocked very shortly by that statue, but we can explore just a little bit further first. And some minor consumables, but free consumables, even when minor, are never unappreciated. So up here we have that person petrified right in front of a switch, which means we're not going to be able to trigger that switch, and therefore we're not going to be able to open this gate. So we'll have to come back here later. We do have a couple of wooden doors that we can check out. Not much in them. I think one does have a minor treasure of some sort, but we do get to encounter a couple new enemies at least, who can apparently bang you with their poison clubs right through doors. Oh yeah, just freaky ugly dudes with weird distended abdomens, who drop falchions for some reason, despite having clubs. And some Lloyd's talismans. Just like Dark Souls 1, you use these to prevent people from healing. And we can give that a quick look. Talisman used by Cleric Knights. Blocks Estus recovery within a limited area. It is said that the Cleric Knights use these talismans to hunt down accursed undead. Cleric Knights fight with pride, and by blocking the recovery of the undead, they can also fight with impunity. Notice there is no reference to Allfather Lloyd this time, and that's probably because the Way of White is long gone. And no treasure here, but at least a couple extra souls for us. And that's really all we can do here right now. I just wanted to pick up the couple of consumables and make the acquaintance of Groundskeeper Willie. he will be more friendly and helpful to us once we unpetrify that poor woman and clear the way for him. But it's going to be a little while before we do that, I think, because I have more immediate uses for the unpetrifying items when we get our hands on them. So I don't think she's going to be our first use for them, although that is a perfectly valid course of action. Just not the one that I think I'll ultimately take. So with that squared away, let's make our way on back to the Forest of Fallen Giants and continue our progress through that area. And the usual arrows through the head treatment for the firebomb gentleman. Just because he is a perpetual pain in the ass. And I'm sure you're probably sick of me killing these handfuls of hollows and the one ironclad over here by now, but we shouldn't have to do it too many more times. We will be moving on from this as a regular destination before too many more passes. However, this is not going to be the last one for a somewhat amusing reason you will see in a moment. Hey, ironclad. Oh shit! Well, if you're going to suffer a stupid death, I suppose suffer a spectacular stupid death. And our soul pile is modest and will be just outside, so that's no big deal. And all we really lose out of that, since we were already hollow, is just a little bit more off of our max HP. When it starts getting down to the most hollow you can be, when you only have like half your max HP remaining, then that starts to feel a little limiting. But when it's just a little bit off the top, I don't mind too much. And there's an item we can get not too far into the game, in Hate's Tower of Flames area, that can somewhat mitigate that HP reduction effect of hollowing. Usually I don't think it's worth a ring slot, but again, if you've got a really big amount of your max HP missing, like when you get to at or near the halfway part, then it starts to look a little more compelling. Alright, let's do this again with a little more care. This time I think I'm going to approach from the side that isn't near a cliff. Hey, ironclad. Haha! Eat shit. Oh no! It appears that I will be eating the shit. But only for a moment. Alright, moving along. Now over in that direction where we see the glow of the sun, through the door over yonder, that way is progress. That's where we're going to want to go to do the rest of the relevant part of the Forest of Fallen Giants for now, but we haven't yet passed through Pate's Gate here. And again, as he has warned us in the past, when we pass through, it's going to slam shut behind us, and as he hasn't warned us, we're going to be attacked by a small pack of hollows, which can be kind of dangerous because 4-on-1 fights are never a good thing. But I'm feeling froggy, I think we're up for it. Okay, when's it gonna lock us in? There it goes. And when the gate slams shut, that is, I believe, when the 4 hollows activate. Oh, there they come. Fortunately, 2 of them are the easiest kind. Actually, no, 3 of them are the easiest kind, but that fellow with the bigger sword can be a little bit of trouble. Oh, actually, take that back. It's been a 5 hollow ambush. That's even worse. Oh yeah, that can be a little bit worrying, but looks like we came through with some pretty flying colors there. I am satisfied with this. Nothing to this message. There is no ambush here, at least none that I've ever triggered. I don't know what that means. Ah, a little bit of aromatic ooze. This is a weapon buff item. A mysterious, sticky substance that radiates a pale white light applies magic to right-hand weapon. The affected weapon inflicts magic damage for a short time, particularly effective against heavily armored foes or creatures with thick scales. So this actually works just like the Magic Weapon, Great Magic Weapon, Crystal Magic Weapon series of spells, just as an item instead of an actual bit of sorcery. And if you've played Demon Souls, yes, this is the return of sticky white stuff. Although this time it has at least a slightly less suggestive name. Moving on, there's going to be a little bit of additional treasure here, but something that Pate didn't tell us is that it's hidden behind an illusory wall. So yes, the message here is accurate. And here we get an amber herb, and the most basic of sorcery implements, the plain old sorcerer's staff. The first staff of most sorcerers, a catalyst for sorceries and hexes. To use sorceries, attune a sorcery at a bonfire and equip a staff. The strength of most sorceries is affected by the caster's intelligence. Not very interesting flavor text that time. But yes, that is the most basic of sorcery staffs, and it requires 10 intelligence to use. And we are going to want it for at least a few utility spells, so it will indeed be the reason that we need to get our intelligence up to 10. And as we come out here, we can hear those hollows attacking that giant tree. Death to cart. Yeah, right over there is the ladder you can come up from the area where the hollows are attacking the dead giant. But we're just on the other side of it this time. On the other side of the little trench here, that is. And it overlooks Pate's resting place. Hi, Pate!
Well, I see you managed to escape. I hope that brave warrior didn't come a cropper either. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself. Oh, but you should take this. It allows undead to call out for help to one another across the fissures between worlds. With luck, somebody will lend you a hand. Well, I hope be careful.
Well, Pate, you've been a very useful mammal. And now we have our proper, full-sized, white sign soapstone. As I've mentioned, the small white sign soapstone only allows you to be summoned for a limited period of time, but the full-size one will last until you die, your host dies, or you kill a boss together. So for lengthier periods of jolly cooperation, it can be quite handy. The downside is, it summons from a narrower range of soul memory, so if you're farther apart in the game, there's a lesser chance that anyone will be able to actually see your summon sign. So, trade-offs in all things. I'm going to go ahead and put those on my belt so I can throw out a summon sign any old time. And this allows you to be summoned as a phantom to another world in order to help that world's master for a certain time. You will be rewarded with a token of fidelity for successfully assisting the other player. The flow of time is distorted in these lands, and the white sign soapstone allows undead to assist one another. That's another difference. When you fulfill your duty from using a small white sign soapstone, then you get a small, smooth and silky stone that you can trade to Dinah and Tillo, whereas what you get for killing off a boss with your host using a regular summon sign, you get a token of fidelity instead. And we'll see what the story is with those when we get one. Can't remember what I was looking for here, but no matter. Alright, onward toward progress. But once again, I'm going to want to get rid of these fire bombers here, because having the whole area blow up when you're walking through it can be kind of hazardous to your health. That's what we like, those good headshots. That's what we don't like, missing completely. Alright, and I can smash my way through here a little more safely now that I'm not using a flaming weapon. But there is one other thing that I forgot about and didn't manage to show you last time. Right back in the area where those two fire bombers were hiding. Where I found the mail breaker and what have you. So we'll head back there real quick and I will show that off. It's another new addition to the Scholar of the First Sin re-release for the latest gen consoles and DX11 PC. Now, right over here by the brazier, you'll see it casts a shadow on the wall there, although we see nothing that shadow should belong to. That is an invisible hollow. They're hidden here and there throughout this version of the game. And if you should kill the invisible hollow, they usually have a drop unique to their particular spawn point. So you get a nice little treasure for finding and slaying them. And in this case, it's another trade item. Nothing brilliant, but, you know, we might get something good for it. Hi, Pate. Don't mind me. Well, we've got a decent supply of souls here and a trade item, so we might as well take a trip back.
I knew you'd be back.
I knew I'd be back too, Malentia. Nope. You've got some things I want, but not things I can actually afford right now.
Lively times these are.
Sorry, I'll be back with some more savings. Ah, just like the other Souls games, if your message gets rated, you get a little healing. Of course, I didn't actually need any healing, but every now and then it might save you at a critical moment. Alright, ladies, what have you got for me today? A magic stone. Probably nothing that we're going to find very useful this time out, since we're not going to be focusing on intelligence. Again, we'll probably never actually have more than 10, at least in this playthrough. But when we find a blacksmith that's capable of using stones to infuse weapons with elements, we could use that to make a magic weapon. Again, not something I see myself having any particular use for, but it's good to have options.
Bearer of the less.
Alright, how shall we self-improve today? Still gonna want more endurance sooner than later, but we have other options. Strength's about as good as we need for right now, although we're gonna want more of it soon enough. We could build intelligence and faith toward the low thresholds that we need them to be. We're gonna need more vitality for the heavier weapons I want to wield in the long term. But for right now, I'm really feeling my lack of stamina, so yeah, we'll just build that up a little more. Get that into the double digits. And I noticed that I'm actually really close to my next level. So I thought to myself, let's run back and just kill those two poison club guys again, see if I can get my souls up to the threshold for the next level. Spoiler alert, they give so few that it doesn't work out. Groundskeeper Willie, you're just gonna sit there forever until the right person comes by to get rid of that statue? I mean, surely you can find other ways to occupy your time. Right about now is when I go, 90? Ah, shit. Not gonna hit me that way, dude. I'll give them this, they're resilient ugly fuckers. So yeah, finding that that leaves me a little short of the amount of souls I needed for my level up, I think to myself, now what? What can I kill in a hurry that'll give me just a wee little bit of souls, enough to put me over the top? And then I realize I haven't fought the 3 little pigs yet. If you go to the little grassy area to the right of the Majula Mansion, then, yeah, it is a pretty nice view, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, if you go to the grassy area to the right of the mansion, there are 3 wee tiny pigs there, and, they're actually surprisingly tough. Generally speaking, they're not worth the bother, because they give you a tiny amount of souls and they can take a surprising amount of punishment. But one reason you might go after them in the early game, if you want to get a quick start on some PvP, is that they have a passable chance of dropping cracked red-eye orbs. So you need some invasion items. This is one way to get some very early on. As you can see, they actually hurt a bit when they hit you, despite appearances, and they can also take a beating for such tiny porcine whatevers. But, even though I don't really care about the cracked red-eye orbs, and spoiler alert, I don't get any anyway, these will be just enough to put me over the amount of souls I have. And man, I cannot even begin to imagine the number of people who, just starting out the game, trying to just explore all of Majula, you know, immediately headed to the right of the mansion and got slaughtered by these. Kind of an embarrassing way to experience one of your first deaths, I would think. And even though I am well acquainted with stupid deaths, I can actually say that is one I do not know by experience. First time I encountered the piglets, I actually did win, although it was a pretty long, drag-out kind of fight.
Bearer of the curtain, seek lest it.
And indeed, I got no orbs, but I did get just enough souls. So what shall we put them toward now? Well, we are going to want to increase our iframes. This level of adaptability is not enough to actually get any additional agility points, but it puts us a little bit closer. Alright, that will satisfy for the immediate. Back to the woods. I don't want to go down there. And then again, I do beg your pardon for some of this repetition. At this point in the very early game, I need lots of souls wherever I can get them. And the amount of repetition definitely does decrease once you're past the very early game, because you don't need to gather quite as much loot, and progress will not be as slow because we won't be as overwhelmingly weak. Oh, and I've gone and destroyed all my barrels, so we'll have to take out this ironclad the slow way, but it's nothing particularly difficult. As always, they're nice and predictable and not exactly swift moving. And they remain worth a little more dough than the average hollow, so worth killing them. Alright, so there are, in the long term, going to be some more optional places in the Forest of Fallen Giants, but for the moment, we've done all of the little side paths that we need to do. We can continue on toward progress and toward the first proper boss. Getting a little low on ammo here, and I don't think there's any more to buy from Lenegrast. I mean, I can buy wood arrows from him, but I don't like to have a lot of crappy ammunition kicking around. Really kind of nice looking out here. Praise the sun. And a few more minor consumables, but as always, free shit. Not gonna turn it down. The door over there we will need a key for, and what the hell is that guy doing? I have to wonder if the spawn point for one of the giant attackers got glitched out, or if one of the giant attackers, or rather that guy got the giant attacker AI by mistake or something, because it really seemed like he was running back to that dead giant to take some whacks at it. Something I haven't seen before, but of no importance. Got a couple of spearmen here. Unfortunately, it's not too difficult to avoid aggroing them both. Now, as is so often the case, further progression is going to be beyond that fog gate there. But there's a little more we can do up here first. First of all, we've got an ironclad hiding behind the cart there. Well, we'll get him out of our way. And a couple more amber herbs for our troubles. We'll not likely ever be casting that many spells, but better to have them and not need them, right? This is pretty neat. Big old statue of a hand with a sword. One assumes the rest of the statue was here once upon a time, but was perhaps destroyed during the war with the giants. And the message here is not kidding. When we walk up the sword, there will be a few hollows dropping down behind us. But if we know they're coming, we can just run up, grab the treasure here, and get ready to take them out. The one down there seems to be having some little pathfinding problems. A little late to the ambush, but he gets his turn just like everyone else. Another really nice view, although I suppose no fun for the acrophobes out there. And I don't even know how those messages got up there. I don't think you can actually get to that bit of geometry without glitching. But maybe there is, and I've just never figured it out. Anyway, that is of no importance. We are going to proceed on through the fog. And right here, we are on the other side of that locked door next to the salamander pit. Bug or not here? What that refers to, message writers usually refer to the crystal lizards as bugs. There used to be one here in the vanilla version of the game, but in Scholar, it is gone. Alas. Yeah, it's too bad. We could certainly have used the extra ore, but life goes on. Bit more minor loot. Minor loot is still loot. And yes, a brazier, so I'm going to have to head back here very shortly, but fortunately, there's a shortcut we can unlock with that one-way door. Some free ammo, fair enough. I am very low on ammo at this point. Now, this elevator leads to the first boss, but I'm not going to take it just yet. Instead, I'm just going to activate it, because bringing up the other side of the elevator will bring us an ironclad. I just want to get rid of him. Yeah, you gotta watch with trying to block with these guys. They can stop your block very easily. Not only can they break your guard easily with their horizontal swings, but their overhand ones you can't block at all. Alright, we've opened that door from the correct side, and that will now be a very handy shortcut for us. And that, as you can see, frees me up to easily engage in my very petty pyromania. Alright, at this point, I am pretty much free to fight the boss, and yes, elevators are wonderful. Watch the salamander here. As we go by, he notices and just kind of turns his head to look at us. Kind of cute. We've got another thrusting sword guy down here who will hopefully not parry us and actually manage the riposte correctly this time. But we're not going to give him a chance. Door here on the left, we will eventually get the key for this and do a little more exploring in this area, but that's a key we're not going to get for quite a while. And beyond the fog gate there is the first boss, but here we would normally, if we were fully alive, have a couple of NPC summon signs, and I really want to bring these NPCs along to the fight because one of them will get a reward later for doing so, and the other is just really cool. So I'm going to head back to the Cardinal Tower bonfire once again, because it is a rather popular summoning spot. I'm going to drop my summon sign and try and do a little jolly cooperation, kill the boss with a co-op partner, and get myself restored to unhallowed. I could just use a human effigy, but I hoard those. What can I tell you? Now, what I'm going to do, since I want my actual personal game fight with the boss to be the first one in the video, I am going to cut out the co-op session and put it at the end of the video as just a little bonus for those who actually want to watch the co-op sessions. If that doesn't work for you, feel free to suggest otherwise. And, you know, no promises as always, but I will gladly consider any suggestions. But before I try and get myself summoned, we'll spend some of those souls. Let's see. We are definitely going to need more equip load. And let's see, we got another for enough for another level, rather. Adaptability would give us another point of agility, but yeah, we're gonna need those smarts sooner than later, so we'll start building up to those 8 and 10 thresholds. And here I stopped to pick up some more iron arrows from Leningrad, not remembering that I had already bought them all.
Don't waste my time.
Ah, keep your pants on, Lenny. I'll do plenty of shopping with you in the long run. Souls spent. Everything done for the moment but the boss. Time to put down my summon sign, and now we play the waiting game. Funny, you usually get summoned kinda quick here. Ah well. The waiting game sucks, let's go grind. Man, I'm really kinda making a mess out of this one spear guy. Don't know what the hell happened to my timing. That's more like it. Oh, phone's ringing. See you in a few, folks. Alright, jolly cooperation successful, and look at my souls. Yeah, not only did we successfully fight the boss and get me unhollowed, we also successfully did the optional pursuer fight that I got killed by in my own game. So yeah, I got paid. Hey, Melentia.
You again?
Now the first thing we're definitely gonna want is that fragrant branch of yore, which is the unpetrifying item. And we'll pick up a bright bug. Let's see, do I want anything else from her? Yeah, we'll pick up a couple of those effigies. And that ought to be enough to get our valued customer gift from her.
Take these, if you want them.
Now, just like in Dark Souls 1, the covetous Silver Serpent Ring will get you some extra souls for every enemy that you defeat. And the +1, rings in this can be regular +1 or +2, but you do have to find the upgraded ones in the wild. You can't actually upgrade rings at a blacksmith or anything like that. And we'll take a couple firebombs for the road just to be prepared.
Thank you kindly.
At this point it didn't occur to me that I didn't actually equip the covetous Silver Serpent Ring, which I really wish I had done before the boss fight, but what can you do? The Bright Bug is a tiny bug that produces light. Bright bugs are said to comfort the dead and are found in the marshlands leading to the Undead Crypt. By ingesting a bright bug just before death, the moment at which they glow most brightly, one attains great power for a short time, often utilized as a last resort for adventurers who have lost their way. Has no effect in other worlds or for phantoms. So yeah, these are completely nullified in any kind of multiplayer, but when you're solo, if you eat a bright bug, then you get a 20% buff on your attack power, and a 20% buff to your defense. So yeah, a really nice body buff. That's why they are hard to come by and quite expensive when you can get at them. And the fragrant branch of yore is a fragrant tree branch with a faint sweet smell. Restores the life of things turned to stone. Extended inhalation of the branch's scent can lead to coughing and nausea. Ask your doctor if fragrant branch of yore is right for you. And for the co-op session, we did get a token of fidelity. A token recognizing that the owner has traveled worlds to help others. When in other worlds, it can also be used to restore the master of the world's HP, but this is only a secondary effect of the item. Simply carrying these tokens shows the depth of the holder's fidelity. And it's actually good that we have one of those, because in the not terribly distant future, we'll be meeting a new friend who isn't willing to talk to us unless we have at least one token of fidelity. Alright, I'm going to... Whoops. Being very clumsy with the base enemies all of a sudden. But yes, we're going to get rid of these sword hollows and halberd hollows real quick and then avail ourselves of our recently unlocked shortcut. And then it's right back to the boss. After we get rid of the ironclad elevator enthusiast, of course. Didn't watch my stamina there. Didn't have enough to get free of that, and can't block that overhead. So that's one less Estus I'm going to have to go into the boss fight with, but we'll have some good backup, and being the first boss, it's not terribly difficult, so we should be just fine. Hi, Salamander. What are you even doing? Now that we are fully human, we've got our summon signs in place. And the full-size one over on the right is going to be our very good buddy, Mild-Mannered Pate. Now, he warned us about danger, he gave us our summoning soapstone, and now he's going to help us out directly in the field. Very nice. Looks like he's doing kind of the phalanx thing with a big old spear and a great shield. And over here we have a new NPC, to Scholar of the First Sin. This is Sellsword Lute, and he is kind of the ultimate tank buddy. As you can see, he dual wields great shields, amusingly enough. He wears most of the Havel set, which is still a thing, and just as in the previous game, is some of the heaviest armor. And he is also wearing a ring that causes him to draw aggro. The boss will pay more attention to him than to myself or to Pate, although Pate will end up taking most of the hits just because he's kind of careless. And on top of that, Lute can even heal himself with Estus, even though he often forgets to do so. So, yeah, he's very good at drawing enemy attention and staying alive in the face of it. Very handy guy. The only downside is that he has a small summon sign, so there is a time limit on his session with us, but it should be more than enough time to kill a boss. And he can emote. which is something that NPCs couldn't do in the vanilla game, but it was added in the DLC, and the new summons for Scholar of the First Sin do that as well. Head like a hole, black as your soul. I'd rather die than give you control. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the last giant. Despite being impaled on a pylon, pretty much dead, and half buried under rubble, he was angry enough to free himself and revive fully to life. He's really pissed. I wonder why. Anyway, as first bosses go, he hits very, very hard. But he is definitely slow compared to the likes of, say, the Taurus Demon. So, it's a trade-off. It will be easier to avoid getting hit, but it's also more important to avoid getting hit because his attacks will definitely fuck you up. And as you can see, you can target his legs, which is handy because that's pretty much the only part of him you're likely to be able to reach at any given point. Now then, when we get him below 50% health, yeah, he's gonna rip his own arm off and try to beat us to death with it. Yeah, he's really pissed. And those arm swings will hurt more than his other attacks, except for the stomp. That is to say, it's an upgrade from just his not beating you with his arm. As you can see, he broke our guard with a single swing there, so you really don't want to get hit by that. He also has one attack that we don't see here, in which he just throws himself forward and kind of belly flops on you. If that hits you, you will almost definitely die. So just something to be careful of if you ever try this game out. And Pate barely survived that, but surviving is the important thing. We have defeated our first proper boss, and we get an important key, and the soul of the last giant. Soul of the surviving giant, who was bound below the forest of the giants. The lord of the giants, who had brought wrack and ruin to the entire kingdom, was said to have been felled by an unknown warrior. His beaten and broken remains were then dragged beneath the stronghold where he was sealed away. Use the special soul of the last giant to acquire numerous souls, or to create something of great worth. Huh, Lord of the Giants. Apparently we just killed their king. Well, that's kind of badass. I guess he was very vengeful, hence his overwhelming anger toward us. Anyway, just like in the previous game, boss souls can be consumed, just to give you a decent boost to your soul count, but it's usually a better idea to hold on to them until you find someone who can trade for them, or make something out of them, and get boss weapons that way, or possibly other things. So we'll be keeping that around the inventory for a while yet. And the soldier's key is a key to the soldier's door in the Forest of Fallen Giants. A fort was erected in the forest to face the giants, but now the soldiers are lost and hollowed. They are enfeebled, but not without honor, and continue to steadfastly defend their country. So a little reference there to the hollow soldiers of Drang Lake who are still trying to kill the giants that are already dead. Very nice. Not as impressive as a soul count as we got for killing the Pursuer and the last giant in the co-op session. And it would have been more if I had remembered to put on the covetous Silver Serpent Ring +1, which I'm kind of kicking myself for forgetting to do. But life goes on. It'll still be enough to make a few purchases. And also, defeating the last giant will cause a few migrations. As I mentioned before, Melentia will be headed back to Majula, and so will Kale. So we'll go ahead and meet up with them in their new homes. And Melentia is right here.
Oh, you again? Go on. It's on the cheap for you.
And she doesn't have too much that's different from the last time we saw her, but you can see there's no counter on her life gems, so she now has an infinite supply of them. That's very nice. Anytime we need some of the basic life gems, we'll always be able to come back and restock here. And I'm going to pick up another for bright bugs, just because I have the money to do it.
Everyone's so stingy around here. Everyone's so stingy everywhere. You're my only customer. Don't make me beg. Now buy something.
I just did.
We call this place Majula. Not too special if you ask me. It's just the place where everyone seems to end up.
Well, if nothing else, it is picturesque.
You're my... Thank you kindly.
Yeah, right about now I was like, oh shit, that's right, Melentia. I didn't put on the money ring. Oh well. And our new arrival in the mansion here is, of course, going to be Kale the Cartographer, hanging out with his beloved map in the basement.
Oh, hello again. You've made it. The map, I presume. Of course. Take a good look.
There it is again, and interestingly enough, it's got a little flicker of flame on it.
Even more flames have appeared. I don't know what causes it. Did you see the flame on the map? It wasn't there when I came here before. I don't know what explains it.
Well, I can explain it. Every time you beat a boss, a flame will appear on the map. So, as we proceed through the game and beat up more and more bosses, it's gonna turn into a regular little inferno over there.
But there is something greatly comforting about that flame. It seems to fulfill something very precious, deep within the soul. Something essential.
If you say so. To me, it just means I just kick some ass. So I guess that's nice.
I would not venture far into that hole. It was blocked by a wall, something built long ago. But it was crumbling, and I finished the job. Now a foul sound echoes within.
Ah, don't sweat it, dude. It was just a skeleton, and I've already finished that job.
Did you see the...
Alright, well, we've defeated a boss. We've picked up an important key that will allow us to check out a few more of the remaining areas of the Forest of Fallen Giants. I think that's a solid enough set of achievements for the day.
Bearer of the seek lest.
Of course, we've got a couple of thousand souls, so before we retire, we'll add another one to our level count. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna start building up a little more toward that 8 intelligence threshold, as it won't be terribly long before we end up needing that. Alright. Once again, folks, thank you very much for the well wishes. Hopefully the coming week will be a little less aggravating on the work front. And I do apologize again for the post-commentary. Hopefully next time I will remember to get my microphone settings correct before I start recording the commentary track. But still, a pretty good session, and I thank you very much for joining me for it. This is Un, and this is I Played a Thing, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. And I will see you again very soon. This episode of I Played a Thing was brought to you by such generous patrons as Justin Carpenter, Nolden, Zangamarth, Charlie Dunst, Anonymous Benefactor, John Madigan, Johnny Millennium, Sanguine Games, Joseph Coco, Misha Van Doren, Craig Patterson, Frank Grizzy, Tim J, Lolo De Puzzlo, Joshua C. Ritchie, Jared C. Rice, Darren Chow, Sonic Rose, and EX Potemkin. Thank you very much for your very generous support, and thank you to all of my other generous supporters as well, and all commenters, subscribers, and watchers. Glad to have you along, see you again soon, and if you like, stay tuned for some jolly cooperation.